On a sunny morning, Samantha finds a devastating letter from her husband Bruce, who disappears, leaving her alone with baby Jonathan. Years pass, and mysteriously, Jonathan starts receiving anonymous gifts on his birthdays. At 19, Jonathan receives a special gift and an unimaginable surprise: the return of his father Bruce, bringing to light secrets and threats from the past he had tried to protect them from. Can Samantha and Jonathan forgive Bruce and overcome the ghosts he left behind? Will the family reconcile and face the challenges ahead? Follow this story full of twists, suspense, and deep emotions. On that sunny morning, Samantha woke up with the rays of the sun crossing the window of her room. The bistro was still silent, and Jonathan, her 9-month-old baby, was sleeping peacefully in the crib next to her. She got up, feeling the routine of the day begin to take shape in her mind. However, upon entering the kitchen, she encountered a scene that would change her life forever. On the table, there was a letter and a pile of documents. Samantha immediately recognized Bruce's handwriting, her husband. With her heart racing, she picked up the letter and began to read. "Dear Samantha, I don't know where to start, but I need to be honest. I've been thinking about this for a while. I can't stay anymore. It's not out of a lack of love or anything you've done. Simply, I need to leave. This is a decision I've made for reasons you may never understand. I'm leaving the divorce papers here. I hope you find happiness and take good care of our Jonathan. Goodbye, Bruce." Samantha felt a lump forming in her throat, and tears began to roll down her face. How could he do this? She thought. She sat at the table, stunned, trying to process the information. The sound of a baby crying brought her back to reality. Jonathan had woken up and was crying in his crib. "Mommy is here, my love," she said, forcing a smile as she picked Jonathan up. The following days were a whirlwind of emotions for Samantha. She decided to focus on what was most important: Jonathan and the bistro. With the help of her parents, she managed to organize the restaurant's routine and ensure that Jonathan had a happy childhood, even without his father's presence. At the bistro, the staff became her second family. Mr. Ramon, the restaurant's maitre d', and his daughter Andrea, who helped on weekends, were especially important. Their presence brought unexpected comfort to Samantha. "You know, Samantha, we're all here for you," said Mr. Ramon on a quiet afternoon while helping to close the bistro. "If you need anything, just ask." "Thank you, Ramon. I don't know what I would do without you," Samantha replied with a genuine smile. Years passed, and Jonathan grew up surrounded by love and support. On his 6th birthday, something curious happened. He received an anonymous gift, a remote control car he had wanted for a long time. "Mommy, look what I got!" exclaimed Jonathan, beaming. "Who could have given me this?" Samantha picked up the note that came with the gift. It was a simple message: "Happy birthday, Jonathan. With love, Dad." Samantha felt a mix of relief and frustration. So, Bruce still thinks of us, she reflected. But why couldn't he be present? The doubt gnawed at her heart, but she decided not to share these feelings with Jonathan. "Maybe it's a surprise, my dear. Enjoy your present," she said, caressing her son's hair. Life went on, and the routine of the bistro and caring for Jonathan kept Samantha busy. Whenever there was a quiet moment, she found herself thinking about Bruce and the reasons he left them. However, the constant presence of friends and family reminded her that she was not alone on this journey. Thus, Samantha moved forward, determined to create a safe and loving environment for Jonathan, with or without Bruce. And each birthday, the arrival of anonymous gifts kept the hope alive that one day the truth would come to light. Years passed quickly, and Jonathan grew up under Samantha's careful watch. The bistro became not only a workplace for her, but also an emotional refuge and home for the small family. Samantha dedicated herself tirelessly to the bistro, balancing her time between her responsibilities as chef and owner and taking care of Jonathan. Jonathan, in turn, transformed into a brilliant and curious young man. From an early age, he demonstrated a special talent for argumentation and debates, often impressing adults around him with his insight and logic. Samantha noticed this talent and, although her heart still carried the hurt from Bruce's departure, she dedicated herself to supporting her son's dreams, believing he could achieve great things in the future. The friendship between Jonathan and Andrea, Mr. Ramon's daughter, one of the oldest and most loyal employees of the bistro, also flourished over the years. Since they were little, the two were inseparable, sharing secrets, laughs, and adventures. Andrea, with her lively spirit and unconditional support, was a constant and comforting presence in Jonathan's life. Jonathan's birthdays always brought an intriguing mystery. Anonymous gifts that arrived without fail, year after year. These gifts varied from rare books to sports equipment, always accompanied by a simple card but without a signature. Jonathan and Samantha often speculated about the origin of the gifts. "Man, who do you think sends these gifts?" Andrea asked one day while they were sitting on the park bench after school. Jonathan shrugged, but there was a slight suspicion in his eyes. "I don't know, but my mom thinks it could be my dad." "Bruce?" Andrea leaned closer, curious. "Do you think he's still out there, watching from afar?" "Maybe," Jonathan replied thoughtfully. "Sometimes I want to believe that. Other times, I think it's just someone trying to be kind." Samantha watched these conversations carefully. She wanted to protect her son, but she also knew that the truth about Bruce was too complex to be simplified into a guess or a hunch. She herself still wondered about the real motivation behind those gifts. Life at the bistro continued to be busy, but always filled with special moments. Over the years, Samantha developed a sixth sense for perceiving her son's abilities and inclinations. When Jonathan turned 17, he participated in a school debate that made him stand out among his peers. Samantha was in the audience, proud, holding back tears as she watched her son shine on stage. "Jonathan, you were amazing," Samantha praised after the event, hugging him tightly. "Thank you, Mom," Jonathan said, smiling. "I really enjoy discussing and debating. I think I want to pursue this as a career." "You would make an excellent lawyer," commented Andrea, who was also present. "You have that way of convincing anyone of anything." Samantha nodded, determined. "If that's what you want, I'll support you in everything. Let's start looking for the best law schools." The following years were intense, with Jonathan dedicating himself to his studies and Samantha working hard to ensure that nothing was lacking for her son. When Jonathan turned 19, a big celebration was organized at the bistro. Friends, family, and staff were present, all celebrating the promising young man Jonathan had become. During the party, Jonathan received another anonymous gift. This time, it was something special, an old lawyer's briefcase, accompanied by a note that said, "To accompany you in all your battles." Jonathan held the briefcase, feeling an inexplicable connection to the object. "This gift is different," Samantha commented, looking at the note. "Maybe we're closer to discovering who's behind this." "I think so, Mom," Jonathan replied, with a sparkle in his eyes. "But for now, let's enjoy the moment. It's a special day." And so, the party continued, filled with laughter, hugs, and promises of a bright future. Samantha watched her son with pride and hope, aware that despite all the challenges, they had built a life full of love and resilience. The night was lively at Samantha's bistro. Friends and family gathered to celebrate Jonathan's 19th birthday. The soft lights created a cozy atmosphere, and the background music added a special touch to the party. Jonathan, surrounded by his closest friends, including Andrea, was radiant. He always appreciated these moments when everyone gathered to celebrate. In the middle of the party, Samantha approached Jonathan with a special gift. It was an old lawyer's briefcase that seemed to have a lot of history. Jonathan looked at it curiously and ran his fingers over the worn edges. "It's from someone very special," Samantha said with a mysterious smile. Jonathan opened the briefcase and found an anonymous note of encouragement inside. "For Jonathan, follow your dream and never give up. With love, a friend." He read it out loud, intrigued. "Who could have sent this?" Andrea asked, sharing Jonathan's curiosity. Before they could speculate further, the sound of the bistro door opening caught everyone's attention. Bruce, Jonathan's father, entered the room, causing an immediate uproar among the guests. Silence filled the room as everyone processed his unexpected presence. "Bruce?" Samantha murmured, her voice trembling with surprise and confusion. Bruce took a few hesitant steps, clearly nervous.
"Y Samantha. Y Jonathan."
I know my presence here is a shock, but please, hear me out. Jonathan, with a mix of anger and curiosity, took a step forward. What are you doing here, Bruce? After all these years? Bruce sighed deeply, trying to find the right words. I know I left you in a terrible way, but I swear, I did it to protect you. I was being threatened by former colleagues at the insurance company. I discovered a major fraud they were committing, and when I threatened to expose them, they started threatening me. Samantha, still processing everything, asked, "And why didn't you tell us? Why just leave?" "I thought it would be safer for you if I disappeared," Bruce replied, the pain evident in his eyes. "But I couldn't stay completely distant. That's why I sent those anonymous gifts to Jonathan all these years." Jonathan felt a mix of conflicting emotions. "So, you were around this whole time? Watching us?" Bruce nodded. "Yes, in a way. I wanted you to know that despite everything, I still cared. I still love you." The tension in the air was palpable. Andrea, noticing Jonathan's distress, held his hand, offering silent support. Samantha, fighting back tears, looked at Bruce. "You left us at a very difficult time. How can we trust you again?" Bruce took a step forward, his voice choked. "I know it won't be easy. I'm here to ask for forgiveness and to try to make amends for the damage I've caused. I'm willing to do whatever it takes." Jonathan, still holding the lawyer's briefcase, looked at his father. "Do you know how much you hurt us? How much you made my mom suffer?" Bruce lowered his head, tears streaming down his face. "I know, son. I know. And I regret it every day. I just hope that someday you can forgive me." Samantha took a deep breath, trying to control her emotions. "Bruce, this isn't something we can resolve in one night. But for Jonathan's sake, we're willing to hear more. Let's take it one step at a time." Jonathan, despite his anger and resentment, felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, it was possible to rebuild something with his father. "All right, Bruce. We'll listen to what you have to say, but know that it won't be easy." Bruce nodded, grateful for this small opening. "Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Samantha. I'll do whatever it takes to regain your trust." The night that began with a celebration took an unexpected turn, bringing to light emotions and revelations that would change the course of that family. The road ahead would be full of challenges, but everyone's willingness to face the truth together was an important first step. Bruce, now present in Samantha and Jonathan's lives after years of absence, knew that regaining his family's trust wouldn't be easy. He began to rebuild his relationship with Samantha and Jonathan by offering sincere apologies and better explaining his situation. During a dinner at the bistro, he looked into Samantha's eyes, held her hand, and said, "Samantha, I know I made a huge mistake by leaving the way I did. I was desperate and afraid of the threats I received. But I'm here now, willing to do whatever it takes to win you and our son back." Samantha took a deep breath, feeling a mix of hurt and hope. "Bruce, those were difficult years. I had to be strong for myself and Jonathan. But if you're willing to be honest and fight for us, I'm willing to try." Jonathan, on the other hand, was torn. He always felt his father's absence and lived with many unanswered questions. Despite his initial resistance, he realized that Bruce was genuinely sorry. One afternoon in the park, Bruce tried once more to approach his son. "Jonathan, I know I can't make up for lost time, but I want to be part of your life from now on. I want to help you achieve your dreams, if you'll let me." Jonathan, looking at the horizon, replied, "Dad, it's been many years without you. I grew up not understanding why you left us, but I'm willing to try to understand your reasons. Just don't disappoint me again." Over time, Jonathan began to understand the dilemmas his father faced and gradually began to forgive him. The study afternoons with Bruce became precious moments. They discussed legal cases, strategies, and dreams. One day, while reviewing a complex case, Bruce said, "You have an incredible talent for argumentation, Jonathan. I'm sure you'll be a great lawyer." Samantha, on the other hand, dealt with her own feelings of hurt and betrayal. There were nights when she stayed awake, questioning whether she should give Bruce a second chance. On one of those nights, she met with Andrea, whom she always considered a daughter. "Andrea, I'm confused. I want to believe that Bruce has changed, but I'm afraid of getting hurt again." Andrea, holding Samantha's hand, said, "Aunt Samantha, I've seen how strong you've been over the years, but I also see that Uncle Bruce is genuinely trying. Maybe giving a second chance is what your soul needs to heal." Those words echoed in Samantha's mind, and she decided to open her heart to Bruce. On a quiet night, while preparing dinner together, Samantha said, "Bruce, I want to try again, but I need you to show me, day by day, that you've really changed." Bruce, emotional, replied, "I promise, Samantha. I'll do everything to make sure you never doubt my love and dedication again." The family began to restructure. Bruce started helping Jonathan prepare for law school, reviewing subjects, and giving valuable advice. They attended lectures and seminars together, further strengthening the bond between father and son. Meanwhile, Jonathan and Andrea, who had always been inseparable friends, realized their feelings went beyond friendship. On a starry night, while walking in the bistro garden, Jonathan held Andrea's hand and said, "Andrea, we've always been together in all the important moments of my life. I think it's time to take a step forward. Will you be my girlfriend?" Andrea, with a radiant smile, replied, "Jonathan, I've waited so long for this moment. Yes, I want to be your girlfriend." The news of the relationship was met with joy by Samantha and Bruce. "I always knew you were perfect for each other," Samantha said, hugging them both. The family restructuring brought new vigor to the bistro, which became not only a workplace but a true home where everyone supported and strengthened each other. The journey of reconciliation and new beginnings was just beginning, but with love and determination, they were ready to face any challenge that came their way. Jonathan graduated from law school with honors, an achievement that filled Samantha and Bruce's hearts with pride. The graduation ceremony was a moment of pure emotion, where tears of joy flowed freely. Jonathan, now a grown man, decided to pursue a career dedicated to community service, inspired by his family's story of overcoming. He wanted to use his knowledge to help those who, like his father, were wronged. Months later, Jonathan and Andrea got married in an emotional ceremony in the bistro garden, a place that meant so much to all of them. Samantha and Bruce stood by their son's side, overflowing with happiness and pride. The vows exchanged between Jonathan and Andrea were sincere and full of promises for a future together, in which both committed to supporting each other in all circumstances. During the honeymoon, in a secluded cabin in the mountains, Jonathan and Andrea explored an old family chest full of papers and ancient documents. Among these papers, they found a set of letters and records revealing the true identity of Bruce's threats. They were former colleagues at the insurance company, involved in a network of corruption and fraud that Bruce had discovered years before. The letters showed how Bruce had been coerced into leaving home and hiding under the threat of violence against his family. "Andrea, look at this. These are the names of the men who threatened my father," said Jonathan, holding the papers with trembling hands. "With this evidence, I can prove my father's innocence." Andrea put her hand on Jonathan's shoulder, offering support. "Let's do this together, Jonathan. You've already proven to be an excellent lawyer. Now it's time to clear your father's name." Upon returning from the honeymoon, Jonathan began a meticulous investigation. He gathered evidence, interviewed Bruce's former colleagues, and built a solid case. With Andrea's help, who was now also involved in the legal field, they managed to take the case to court. The hearing was intense. Outside the courtroom, a crowd gathered, including Samantha, who was nervous, and Bruce, who tried to stay calm. Inside the courtroom, Jonathan presented the documents and letters he had found, as well as testimonies that corroborated Bruce's story. "My father is not a criminal," Jonathan declared firmly in his closing argument. "He is a victim of a corrupt system that tried to silence him. Today, we are here to restore his honor and dignity." After hours of deliberation, the judge finally announced the verdict. Bruce was found innocent of all charges. The courtroom erupted in applause, and tears of relief and joy streamed down Bruce's face. "You did it, son," Bruce said, hugging Jonathan tightly. "You brought justice to our family." "I only did what any decent person would do," Jonathan replied, emotional. With Bruce's name cleared, the family could finally breathe a sigh of relief. They celebrated this victory with a grand dinner at the bistro, where friends and family gathered to share the joy of the moment. "I always knew you were a great man, Jonathan," Samantha said, holding her son's hand. "And now, the whole world knows too." "I couldn't have done it without all of your support," Jonathan replied, looking at his mother, father, and Andrea, who was by his side. The family was now united and strengthened, ready to face any challenge that life might throw their way. Bruce was fully reintegrated into society, and the conflicts that once threatened to separate them were resolved. They moved forward, stronger and more united than ever, ready to write the next chapters of their lives with love and hope.